Okay, here we go. Ideas for practicing non-judgmentalness. 1. Practice observing judgment thoughts and statements, saying in your mind, a judgmental thought arose in my mind. 2. Count judgmental thoughts and statements. 3. Replace judgmental thoughts and statements with non-judgmental thoughts and statements. Tips for replacing judgment by stating the facts. Describe the facts of the event or situation. Only what is observed with your senses. Observe your judgmentalness, facial expressions, postures, and voice tones. Change judgmental expressions, postures, and voice tones. Write out a non-judgmental description of an event that prompted an emotion. Tell someone what you did today non-judgmentally or about an event that occurred. Stay very concrete. Only relate what you observed directly. When judgmental, practice half smiling and or willing hands. The stress tolerance handout, half smiling and willing hands. Okay. Okay, so here, new studies show pitfalls of doing too much at once. Professor David Meyer is featuring in the following Wall Street Journal. You know the feeling. You're trying to save time by doing 2 or 3 things at once. Sending email while on the phone with your boss, listening to a colleague while sorting junk mail, making a list during a meeting. Suddenly your brain crashes. It can't recall what you just did, what you just said. Accusing eyes turn on you, awaiting a response. To what? Ted Ruddock calls it having a senior moment, and he's only 44. Making 3 points in a conversation recently, he got to number 3 and blanked. It's a little scary, says Mr. Ruddock, a Newton Con chief corporate learning officer, father of 3, husband, caregiver to his aged parents, and, not surprisingly, inveterate multitasker. A growing body of scientific research shows one of the juggler's favorite time-saving techniques, multitasking, can actually make you less efficient, well, stupider. Trying to do 2 or 3 things at once or in quick succession can take longer overall than doing them one at a time, and may leave you with reduced brain power to perform each task. There is scientific evidence that multitasking is extremely hard for someone to do, and sometimes impossible, as David Meyer, a psychology professor at University of Michigan. Chronic high-stress multitasking also linked to short-term memory loss. Yet we're clearly engaged in a long-term trend toward doing it more of it. Some 45% of American workers feel they are asked or expected to work on too many tasks at once, says a study of 1,003 employees by the Families and Work Institute, New York. Through the research has been applied mostly to debate over driving with cell phones or aiding people in mind-boggling jobs like air traffic control. It has quality of life implications too, some findings. People who multitask are actually less efficient than those who focus on one project at a time, according to a study published in Journal of Experimental Psychology. The time lost switching among tasks increases with complexity of the task, according to the research by Dr. Mayer and others. The process of switching back immediately to a task you've just performed, as many multitaskers try and do, takes longer than switching after a bit more time has passed, says findings published last fall by researchers from the National Institute of Mental Health. The reason is that the brain has to overcome inhibitions it imposed on itself to stop doing the first task in the first place. It takes time, in fact, to take off the brakes. If you wait several seconds longer before switching tasks, the obstacles imposed by that shutting off process are reduced. Managing 2 mental tasks at once reduces the brain power available for either task, according to study published in the journal Neuroimage. Marcel Just of Carnegie Mellon University asked subjects to listen to sentences while comparing two rotating objects. Even though these activities engage two different parts of the brain, the resources available for processing visual input dropped 29% in the subject was trying to listen at the same time. The brain activation for listening dropped 53% in the person that was trying to process visual input at the same time. It doesn't mean you can't do several things at the same time, said Dr. Just, co-creator of the University's Center for Cognitive Brain Imaging, but we are kidding ourselves if we think we can do so without cost. People who are multitasking too much experience various warning signs. Short-term memory problems can be one. Intense multitasking can induce a stress response, an adrenaline rush that, when prolonged, can damage cells that form new memory. Dr. Mayer says other red flags are changes in the ability to concentrate or gaps in your attentiveness. And some kind of multitasking just don't work very well. If the task requires the same parts of the brain, such as two assignments that both draw on language skills, it's going to be extremely hard to succeed efficiently, Doctor says. Listening for a child playing in the next room while talking to your boss by phone, for instance, creates conflicting auditory processing demands. How about sorting junk mail and listening to your child? We all do that, but we're shortchanging the child a little, Dr. Just says. Folding laundry and talking to the boss on the phone, it depends on the complexity, he said. For me, towels are easy, but I think twice about some complex shirt that needs the folds in the right place. It's possible to consciously tone your multitasking muscles. Meditation can cultivate the ability to willfully control your mental focus. Other steps may help, such as weeding out distractions, honing your mental skills by making a point of continuously learning about new things, and gently getting plenty of rest. Practice can also help. Suggests show it takes less time to switch between tasks you repeated many times, like tying your shoes and signing your name. Sometimes, though, the best answer is to put on the brakes. On a drive with his son, Mr. Ruddock caught himself missing his child's account on his day at school because his brain was processing a work problem. In such moments, he consciously stops and refocuses. There's so much energy and wasted time and frustration caused by not being in the moment, and having to go back and retrace ground at the least and repair damaged relationships at the worst, he says. We'd all be better off to stay in the moment briefly, to keep our focus and deal with that, and then move on to the next thing. So. Oh, and then there's one last thing here. A couple quotes here I wanted to read. Mind the bump. We have a choice regarding what we think, feel, or behave. Neuroplasticity means brain changes over time. Therefore, we have capability to rewire our thinking, feeling, and behaving. Through what we focus our attention upon equals part of the brain that either strengthens or weakens. Via brain training, we can manage our strong emotions and have empathy/understanding of others. Stress and worry activates our survival mechanism of fight or flight, which produces chemicals and hormones that directly affects our bodies. Positive outcomes of mindfulness practice is the ability to be calm, connected, and experience clarity. When the mind is calm, settled, it is better able to take in information from the body, be more creative, and have better problem-solving ability. We are not at mercy of our thoughts and emotions. Okay? Observe, describe, and participate. Okay, I think that's all I have for right now. Love you guys. You're good enough, and I'll talk to you soon. Hope you enjoyed. Bye.